Good morning, everyone from Athens.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for the invitation. We'll be talking about the changing role of pets in this new environment we're all in. So, if we could move to the next slide, I'm just going to recap that there's a number of labor market challenges and opportunities that are operating in the context of the work that we do every day that obviously affects what we are doing currently and what we're going to be doing in the next few years. So, as we've all heard, teleworking and obviously labor market lockdowns during the pandemic. We've had particular sectors that have been hit the hardest, such as in Greece, the hospitality industry. We've got new support schemes coming out of the European Union, RRF, and the EASE program. We've got the trends of the fourth industrial revolution that are requiring new skills. And so we have a shift in the requirements that the jobs of tomorrow have that are different from yesterday's. We have atypical employment patterns, such as more frequent transitions, the erosion of traditional stable employment, the growth of new employment patterns. Digitization is changing everything in the way that we do our business as well as our everyday lives. And finally, we have the mandate for a more diverse and inclusive workforce. And in particular, for the most vulnerable groups, we have to promote and PES serve as a vehicle for the social inclusion and economic integration of all these people. So we have all of these trends going on that are affecting what we do. Next slide, please. So within this context, I'm just going to give a brief overview of how we are trying to respond to these challenges. And I'll give you a quick overview of what we are proposing in our National Recovery and Resilience Plan for the RRF. And so we are investing heavily in the reform of our active labor market programs with stronger incentives, fewer obstacles, and simplified and focused and inclusive delivery. We are promoting the reform of our passive labor market policies to have a more effective safety net with an emphasis on activation and transition to the labor market. We are investing heavily in our digital transition through interoperability, mobile services, and full digitization. We are reforming our business model by rebranding and promoting data driven and evidence based decision making, as well as enhanced partnerships. We are reforming our apprenticeship model and investing in it through renovated buildings, new curricula, and digitized content. And finally, and most importantly, we're investing heavily in lifelong skilling through a new strategy of performance based funding. New slide, please. As the theme of today, which is the emphasis is on partnerships. So over the past year, we've partnered with a number of international organizations and businesses to provide reskilling and upskilling for our labor force, including partnerships with Google, Coursera, Cisco, Amazon, and Microsoft, and as well as a number of Greek companies. And the goal here is exactly to leverage the capacity, expertise, and know how of these partners and to establish a new collaboration with them in order to do quality skilling at scale, which is a big challenge for all the PES. On the right hand side of the slide, what you see is new ways of delivering our services to the unemployed. We established a new platform called MyOIV Live, where the unemployed and businesses can book digital appointments with our counselors so they can have the one on one counseling without obviously in person contact. We've launched a new app for mobile devices, phones, and tablets, where all of our services are provided directly into the hands of citizens by using the app. And we've also invested heavily in transitioning all of our services to purely electronic services. Next slide, please. So I think it's important for us to emphasize the partnerships within the PES network and between the European PES and the importance of mutual learning. We recently engaged in a mutual assistance project with the Estonian PES, and it focused heavily on data analytics, on improving the matching process, on introducing counselor case management methodologies. And I have to tell you, we learned a lot from our colleagues in Estonia. It was very fascinating to see how they're using technology and the things that they are implementing. And we are now transferring that knowledge and that know how and adapting it to our Greek context and implementing it steadily into our own day to day business. I think it's critical for us to learn from each other. And in addition to the partnerships that everybody has been talking about very correctly so far with other labor market actors and organizations, we also, as the PES network, need to emphasize how much there is for us to learn from each other and to engage in those knowledge transfer processes. Next slide, please. In this, as I want to conclude, I want to say that the new strategy, European strategy for the next day and the transition into the post pandemic labor force, I think is critical because it basically makes us refocus on the three key elements that we all need to put our resources in. That is active labor market policies with hiring and transition incentives, upskilling and reskilling, especially short term programs that can quickly help people transition either back into the labor force or from industry to industry, depending on demand. And finally, and this is where the PES are front and center of the effort, we need to provide enhanced support through our employment services for job transitions. And this requires us to change. The world is changing around us. We need to change as well. And the best way to do that is through partnerships and mutual learning.